Hey, what's happening, everybody? So this week's video is at the request of my boy Luis. He wanted to know about intermittent fasting for athletes. Now, I know a lot of you have relatively short attention spans, so most of you don't want to sit through a 15-minute video, let alone a 3-hour video, listening to me break down the science of why this is beneficial, why this works. So what I'm going to do in this video, rather than talk about the details of intermittent fasting, go over the science of why I think it's beneficial, instead, I'm going to talk about my theories behind why it's a good thing for athletes, specifically combat sports athletes. So first, I'm going to talk about the ability to maintain your weight better, give you a little bit more flexibility in terms of being able to indulge. I'm also going to talk about the potential benefits of brain health and how I honestly think it can not only prevent you from traumatic brain injury, but also help you recover faster in the event that you are concussed. And also, I want to talk about a couple of things that I do to help me with the fast to make everything more efficient. So first, I want to talk about my eating schedule and why I keep it that way. I always train fasted, and I always train fasted at the end of my eating window. So my first meal of the day typically comes at about 3 p.m. And then my second meal will come anywhere from 9 to 10 p.m., sometimes 11 p.m. if I have to work a little bit later. And I do all of my training around 10 a.m. to 1, 2 p.m. The reason why is because I want that to be at the end of the window so that my body has as little fuel as possible coming from food sources and instead has to tap into its own reserves. This is how I'm able to stay so lean. What ends up happening is if there's no food in my system, my body has to burn my fat for energy. And in doing so, through tough workouts, it'll go through most of the energy stores that I have. So I don't tend to gain weight really easily. Now, granted, my diet is disciplined and I do keep relatively regimented, but if I do indulge, this gives me the opportunity to burn that extra energy instead of storing it. So day in and day out, I find that if in the mornings I burn off all of the extra energy and force my body to utilize the energy that it already has, I'm able to maintain my weight. Now, I've done this for years. My body's used to it. I have no problem training with no food in my stomach, but a lot of people, especially when starting this off, can experience lightheadedness, dizziness, fatigue as they train while doing this. So the easiest thing that I would recommend to do is that if you want to start training fasted and you want to do so at the end of an elongated eating window, what I suggest is eating some sort of fat. Protein and carbohydrates will break a fast because both of which spike insulin. However, fat is processed through a different enzymatic system in the body. Therefore, if you're trying to remain fasted, but you're trying to bridge the gap between being used to it and adapting, I would suggest eating fat mainly in the form of avocados because they do have some sort of fiber. If you try to take something like an MCT oil right before training without food, you're going to experience a lot of stomach discomfort. Now, in a situation like this, a lot of people are concerned about muscle wasting while training during a fast. They may think that in the absence of food or calories that your body will start to break down its own muscle to fuel itself rather than using your own fat. And this is where the science of fasting comes into play. And this is where the small difference of a little bit of food before training or no food before training makes a difference. So if you have a little bit of food before training, you do have some insulin flowing through the system. Your body converts to running on glucose. And when that glucose runs out, your body wants to continue to run on glucose. So what it will do is start a process called gluconeogenesis, whereby it actually will break down your muscle tissue, convert it into glucose, and use that for energy. Now, when there's no food, insulin is super low or non-existent, and what will happen is a hormone called lipase will come in and start to break down fat. Now, the benefit of doing this while fasted, especially in the morning, is as you wake up, the pulsatile secretion of growth hormone as you sleep is the highest it's going to be. And to keep this very simple, growth hormone and insulin are inversely related. So as you eat and you have a big insulin spike, growth hormone drops. And so in the morning when insulin is low and growth hormone is high, if you can find a way to train through that, your muscles will be preserved through the actions of growth hormone. It's one of the many reasons why some athletes will try to take it as a performance enhancer. In addition, with growth hormone being high in the morning, growth hormone has a tremendous effect on lipolysis, or aiding in the addition of burning fat. So you're getting the benefit of both worlds with a high level of growth hormone from the night before. You have high levels of fat burning and higher levels of muscle preservation. So you can see the idea of weight maintenance, burning fat and preserving muscle all while training fasted in the morning. So this is why I'm able to preserve all of my muscle mass and even grow some, as I've been doing this for years. Now, another reason why people would want to take growth hormone for a performance enhancing effect is because of its enhancement on injury recovery. Now, as you're training with growth hormone high, you're extending that window of keeping your own body's secretion of growth hormone high. So if you are injured or if you are dealing with nagging injuries, this will definitely help you heal faster. Now, in my own experience, if I'm dealing with something that's nagging me, whether it's a joint, a tendon, a muscle, whatever, I actually find that if I extend my fasting window longer, I recover faster. Now, as nice as those benefits are, one of the main reasons why this is so effective is because of the preservation of brain health and the potential to even improve it. As combat athletes, whether or not we want to admit it, a lot of us have the fear in the back of our mind of either short-term or long-term brain damage as a result of multiple traumas to the head, either through training or through competition. Now, this is something that previously has been thought as to be degenerative and really unpreventable or untreatable. I don't necessarily think this is the case. And again, with my years of experience, I've been concussed multiple times, I've taken a lot of damage, and I've been able to recover really fast by doing this. Now, yes, with my diet and supplementation, I'm very meticulous about brain health. Taking more than my daily allotment of choline, taking garlic to counteract the TMAO effect of choline. I take lion's mane mushroom every day. My diet's high in omega-3 fatty acids. My diet's high in good fats. But at the same time, if it weren't for the fasting effect, none of my recovery would be this well. Now, there are two elements that drive this. The first of which is if your body's running purely on fat, you switch from running on glucose or carbohydrate, or really food for that matter, to a substance called ketones. Now, a lot of your muscles will run a little bit less efficiently on ketones, which is actually a good thing because this will stress your muscles, causing them to be more efficient with using their energy. However, certain organs in your body, mainly your brain and your heart, actually run more efficiently on ketones. Now again, there isn't a lot of information out there, so this is purely theoretical on my end. However, there are a lot of studies that show an impairment in the ability to utilize glucose as fuel in a lot of degenerative brain diseases, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementia, and concurrent studies will show that the addition of ketones to their diet, whether it's through a ketogenic diet or through fasting or both, will actually show an improvement in cognitive function. And I truly believe that there is an impairment in handling the glucose for energy for a lot of combat sports athletes as well. I don't know why, I'm not a doctor, but this has been my experience that if you are consistently fasting, if you're giving your brain ketones every day through fasting and strenuous exercise, that your brain health will actually improve. Now, the second part of this is taking advantage of a byproduct of fasting called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Now, this is an interesting thing because I think evolutionarily speaking, as we evolved, we needed a mechanism in our heads to force us to focus better to find food if we got hungry. And I think that brain-derived neurotrophic factor rising as we become fasted and we become hungrier is something that allows our brain to focus, and allows our brain to become sharper. And this has been shown to regenerate neurons and potentially regenerate brain cells as well. Also recycle old dead ones as they go through the process. So this is a really interesting part of fasting that I think is far crucial for combat sports athletes, because regenerating brain health after a concussion is huge, and also maintaining it, because you don't want to be at the end of your career looking at a potentially less functional brain for the rest of your life. If anything, you can utilize this as a way to be smarter. Now, of course, in addition to fasting, there are other ways to get ketones. You can buy ketone salts or ketone esters straight off of Amazon, and those will instantaneously be converted into ketones for your body. You can also take MCT oil. As you consume MCT oil, your body immediately converts it into ketones to be used for energy for your brain, for your body. Those are great ways to enhance the effects of ketones, or to give your body more ketones in the event that you do experience an injury or you do experience a concussion. Now, there are some things that you would want to do if you are going to train fasted, some things to keep in mind, some things to avoid, and certainly some things to add. So the first thing I want to talk about is in the morning, if you do drink coffee with either cream or sugar, you're going to want to drink it black. And the reason why is sugar obviously will break a fast, and plenty of artificial sweeteners will actually have a psychosomatic insulin effect because your body's expecting something sweet. And in all reality, most artificial sweeteners are exponentially sweeter than even table sugar would be. And so because of that, you're getting a proportionally high insulin spike even though you're not taking in calories. Therefore, the benefits of a fast will be negated. Now, in addition, most creamers are going to have some amount of sugar as well. Like I said earlier, pure fats are fine to consume, albeit they will upset your stomach in certain scenarios. But most creamers, even just straight milk or straight cream, will have a certain amount of sugar, and depending on how meticulous you want to be, that amount of sugar will break a fast. It will stop some of the benefits. Now, with that being said, from an athletic standpoint, there are some things that you can take before you train during a fast that won't break a fast, that will actually make everything more efficient. The first of which being acetyl L-carnitine. Now, acetyl L-carnitine, aside from being beneficial for the brain, is the fact that acetyl L-carnitine will actually help liberate fatty acids in both the muscle and the adipose tissue, releasing them into the bloodstream for energy. I like L-citrulline as well because of the vasodilation effect. I also really like creatine. Creatine is going to provide energy for your cells at the cellular level, helping them to create more ATP. Now, obviously, when your body's in a stress state with less energy, this is going to become a beneficial thing. Now, another thing you're going to want to add to your fasting is a form of electrolytes. Now, I like a Himalayan sea salt. If I'm going to be training particularly hard, I'll add some potassium citrate, but you definitely want to get some form of electrolytes. LMNT is another great one, but if you're going to be training fasted, you're going to be through an electrolyte deficiency, so definitely find a way to get electrolytes into your system. So in conclusion, this is a multifaceted subject that I could talk for hours and hours on end, going in deep into the science, talking about the different reasons why things are the way they are. But for athletes, I think that training during fasted at the end of your eating window is beneficial for a lot of things, for brain health, for injury recovery, for fat burning, for weight maintenance. And so I think it's something that you should consider giving it a try. Ease into it, of course. If you're having trouble adapting, eat just an avocado for breakfast with some black coffee, maybe some eggs, and you'll be all right. So as always, thanks for watching. Please go ahead and like and subscribe. If I left anything out that you really want to know about, please let me know in the comments below. If I'd said something stupid, roast me in the comments below as well, but I'd love to hear from you guys. Thanks a lot.